This is indeed a day which God has made. Let us rejoice in it and be glad. Let us count our many blessings. Let us be grateful for the capacity to see, feel, hear, and understand. Let us be grateful for the incredible gift of life. And let us be especially grateful for the ties of love that bind us together, giving dignity, meaning, worth, and joy to all our days. Welcome.
Let's join together in singing page 38, Morning Has Broken. I invite all those who are willing and able to stand as we sing. We'll do all 3 verses. Good morning and welcome to the first 2018 summer service in our chapel. It was cold enough we could have stayed in the sanctuary, but who knew? It's wonderful to see all of you. My name is Kooistra and I am a member of the Religious Services Committee. As you know, today's speaker is Irwin. Wynn's family, unbelievably, Wynn's family has been part of Fountain Street Church for over 90 years. It doesn't mean he attended all that time, but his grandfather did, and the family went on, so I think this is really exciting. Maybe Wynn might even tell us the story about the foyer. Wynn is currently the chair of the governing board of this church and is deeply committed to Fountain Street, as you can tell. Thank you for speaking with us today, Wynn. Our speaker next week will be Michael Hampton, who will speak on the subject, the oneness of humanity from the Baha'i perspective. I think you will find that very, very interesting. Thank you to Camia Elzinga for delighting us with her music today, filling in for Marilyn. Thank you, Cameo. And for Stephanie Wiltsey, who's going to treat us with her beautiful voice.
So I will tell you about the narthex. If you look carefully, you will see a medallion, and all of the medallions around there were dedicated by my great-grandfather and my great-uncles for their mother, Elizabeth Irwin, in 1926. So it's pretty cool remembrance from us, so I've been around a while myself. Responsive reading. Please join me. I am a single cell in a body of 4 billion cells. The body is humankind.
I am a single cell. My needs are individual, but not unique.
I am interlocked with other human beings in the consequences of our actions, thoughts, and feelings.
I will work for human unity
Together, we share the quest for a society of the whole equal to our needs.
A society in which we need not live beneath our moral capacity, and in which justice has a life of its own.
We are single cells in a body of 4 billion cells.
The body is humankind.
When you seek me, you shall find me. If you search with all your heart, when you seek me, you shall find me. If you search with all your heart, when you seek me, you shall find me. If you search with all your heart, when you seek me, you shall find me. If you search with all your heart, for I know the plans I have for you, plans of welfare, not of evil. For I know the plans I have for you, plans of hope and a future. I will bring you out of bondage to the land I have prepared. I will bring you out of bondage. I will bring you home to me. For I know the plans I have for you, plans of welfare, not of evil. For I know the plans I have for you, plans of hope and a future. When you seek me, you shall find me. If you search with all your heart, I will bring you out of bondage. I will bring you home to me. I will bring you home to me.
Thank you very much, Stephanie. For those of you who don't know, or maybe you read it this morning, Stephanie is the musical director of the Embellish Handbell Choir. Great handbell choir. If you've not heard them, they have played on occasion with the Grand Rapids Women's Chorus. So that's where I first heard Stephanie. Thank you so much for coming today. When the order of service was prepared, I had planned to share a meditation by David Rankin, one of our former senior ministers. But given the painful news of this week of children being taken from their parents and placed in unknown locations, excuse me, I decided to share a part of a prayer that was given by former President Obama at the 2016 National Prayer Meeting. After reading this prayer, I would like to take a full minute of silence for each of us to meditate or pray in our own way. The prayer from President Obama. I pray that our leaders will always act with humility and generosity. I pray that my failings are forgiven. I pray that we will uphold our obligation to be good stewards of God's creation, this beautiful planet. I pray that we will see every single child as our own, each worthy of our love and of our compassion. And I pray we answer Scripture's call to lift up the vulnerable and to stand up for justice and ensure that every human being lives in dignity. This is my prayer for this country in the years to come. Words of former President Obama. Let it be. It is fitting today that Stephanie will soon be singing about the lambs crying. So it's a perfect fit today, Stephanie. Thank you.
My reading today is from Charles Handy. He did this originally on BBC many, many years ago. Last month, we closed a factory. When I say we, I mean the small business of which I am a part-time director. I don't suppose that these decisions are ever taken lightly, and this one certainly wasn't. But we had to face the facts. The factory had been losing money for 2 years, and we could not let it bleed the rest of the business to death. The business logic was clear. The human logic was just awful. How do you explain to people who have been working harder than ever and producing more than ever that it was all useless? The stuff was still sold at a loss. The more they made, the more we lost. Economics can be a baffling science. We listened to men and women telling us that it would be what it would be like to lose their jobs in an area where there were no new jobs. Many would never have a paid job again, and it wouldn't be their fault. I felt like a judge passing sentence on the innocent. Whose fault was it? Some says that it was ours for not keeping them in jobs until all the money ran out, just in case things turned up. But we saw all too clearly that if we didn't close the factory now, the whole lot would go. Isn't it better that some should go so others might live? Not if it's you that goes. It isn't. It may be glorious to die for one's country, but it isn't yet glorious to be made redundant by your firm. Should it be? Some knew it was no one's fault. Nothing lasts forever. New technology or new habits change many things we took for granted. The candles I went to bed with every night when I was a boy in the depths of a country are now, for us, kept for special occasions. The electric light is easier for us, but it was tough on the candle makers. Death and then new life in business and in nature. It's okay if it's nature and winter is followed by spring, but it's tougher in business, where only winter is on offer and the spring is in other parts of the country or for other skills. Some blame the system. If it all belonged to everyone, then everyone would have jobs, they said. Not in that plant, they couldn't. Not at those wages. You can't change the owner. You can change the owners, but it doesn't change the cost of the product. Some accused us of playing God. We were, they thought, sitting in that peculiar kind of heaven called a boardroom, disposing of people's lives to suit our grand design. Playing God? It didn't feel like that at all. Unfortunately, at least not my kind of God. My God would have found a way to give each individual a glimpse of a new life in this kind of death, and the means to grasp that life. My God would have found some light to shine on each person's darkness, some way of giving new meaning to each life, some way of discovering new talents in each of them and pushing them toward new opportunities. My God would have made them feel sure that they lived on, even when the factory died. We did our best to do all this, but I'm afraid it won't be enough for many at that plant. And many won't believe we meant it. After all, institutions, no matter how well-intentioned, no matter who owns or runs them, are no match for God. Perhaps no one should expect them to be.
Shepherd Feeder, if you love me, feed my sheep. Oh, shepherd, feed my sheep. Lord, I love thee, thou dost know. Oh, shepherd, feed my sheep. Oh, give me grace to love thee more. Oh, shepherd, feed my sheep. You hear the lambs crying, hear the lambs crying, hear the lambs crying. Oh, shepherd, feed my sheep, for I'm a pilgrim journeying on. Oh, shepherd, feed my sheep. When you see me, pity me. Oh, shepherd, feed my sheep. You hear the lambs crying, hear the lambs crying, hear the lambs crying. Oh, shepherd, feed my sheep.
So business, is it good or bad? In the 24/7 world that we live in, it's easy for people to make judgments based on the news they see, hear, or read. I am proud to call myself a businessman. Unfortunately for me, there's a lot of bad news when it comes to business and business people. When this is what you hear, it's easy to understand why people assume that this is the way of business. Some examples. When Wells Fargo fired 5,300 employees for creating 2 million ghost accounts in customers' names without their knowledge. And again, when Wells Fargo was fined $1 billion for charging customers for car insurance without their knowledge, and also charging borrowers fees for things that were not their fault. When Volkswagen intentionally programmed their diesel engines to activate their emissions controls only during laboratory emissions testing. When banks and others sold subprime mortgages to people they knew had little chance to pay them back. When Enron hid billions of debt from everyone with the complicity of Arthur Andersen, resulting in 2 companies going out of business, thousands of jobs lost, and a huge shakeup in the financial market. Well, the only thing a business person cares about is making money and doing it fast. Bad things will result. When bad things happen, innocent people and businesses get hurt. However, there's a lot of businesses, especially family businesses, that operate very differently. More and more businesses are now driven by producing a triple bottom line, which defines success based on their environmental, social, and economic impact. The investment world now seeks socially responsible companies to respond to the many, many investors who believe in that triple bottom line. Locally, Cascade Engineering and its founder, Fred Keller, is the best example. Another company that strives to be responsible is Patagonia, the outdoor clothing company. Their advice is, and I quote, simple but powerful: Reduce your environmental footprint. Make legitimate products that last. Reclaim deep knowledge of your business and its supply chain to make the most of opportunities in the years to come. And earn the trust and the business you'll need by treating your workers, customers, and communities with respect. From a very early age, I always wanted to do my part to make the world a better place. I loved politics as a youth, and my dream was to be in the U.S. House of Representatives, believe it or not. Fred's pursuing that dream. However, after I taught high school for 5 years, my dad asked me if I wanted to join Irwin Seating Company. And I did. I am now a proud businessman, and I feel it is a noble profession. Unfortunately, not all business people act nobly. Being the political independent that I am, I find myself often saying, especially to business people, well, you know, the reason we in business have so many laws and regulation is almost always because some business people didn't do the right thing. Nobody ever disagrees. The problem is that money, wealth, and material things consume so many people's lives, and it drives them to want more. Sadly, for many, it's the American way. At Irwin Seating Company, we strive to do it differently. We're 111 years old, employ about 700 people in manufacturing auditorium chairs and telescopic bleachers and platforms. My sons now lead the company, and I'm the chair of the board. Our company has long practiced what's called lean thinking, which is the constant focus on continually improving the value to our customers. While some companies use what we call lean tools to make short-term gains and reap short-term profits, we take pride in creating a long-term culture of continuous improvement. We work hard every day to what we call go to the gemba. That's the place where the real work takes place, where the value is created for our customers, which is the factory floor or installing the chairs in an auditorium. When leadership goes to the gemba, they must always show respect for the people who do the work. Our goal is to have each of our people, especially those on the factory floor, say, I had a good day at work today. Our organizational chart is upside down pyramid. At the top are the value-added people. Underneath are the managers and the leadership, and at the very bottom, the CEO. Only if the CEO, management, and leadership support those workers will success be achieved. So during my 40-plus years, I learned a lot, and I've taken the time to write what I call pattern language, where I try to articulate the cultural values and behaviors that make Irwin Seating Company a success. Each piece of pattern language has a theme. Here are some. Take it personally. It may be something simple. This is one of my pieces of pattern language, mind you. In the July of 1975, on my first day at the company, I experienced an example of someone who took it personally. I was new and had not yet purchased the required steel-toed shoes for my new job in the factory. As I was walking down the aisle, I was approached by a factory worker. Actually, it was Jay Townsend, our chief steward at the time, and was told that I did not have the required safety shoes. Needless to say, I was embarrassed, and I ran out and bought the correct shoes right away. But what's important about this incident is not that I was a future owner and CEO of the company, but that Jay took safety personally. Safety is the most important thing in any factory. It is really hard to create an environment where safety is a high priority and the people are constantly vigilant. If everyone in our factory took safety as personally as Jay did that day, I have no doubt that the number of accidents would dwindle to almost none. Another one of my favorites. Showing up is a big deal. Every year at Irwin Seeding Company, we celebrate those employees who have hit a milestone within the company. For every 5 years of service, individuals are given awards in recognition of their achievement. There are many companies who no longer celebrate service, which is understandable given the big changes in our global economy. However, our company continues a valuable tradition. So why is it so important? Well, first, it's really hard to do. Every day, people lose their jobs because they fail to show up. There are many causes for this. Clearly, health is a major one, and no one should question how hard it is to maintain your health and wellness. We all know people who have had to change jobs or quit because of a health condition. Another cause can be stress, either personal or at work. People who show up every day have figured out a way to deal with stress and health, at least enough so it does not affect their employment. At the most basic level, I think showing up demonstrates that you care for others. While we all know that it's almost impossible to show up every time we are expected, we also know how much we appreciate it when people are there. Whether it's at work or at a wedding, a child's sporting event, a funeral, or simply when others are in need. It means that we care for them and we take time to show up. It probably hasn't been too long since you were thanked for being there for someone, or that you thank someone else for being there for you. People who show up don't do it for recognition, however, they deserve it. So the next time you think about skipping a day of work, a child's sporting event, a family event, think twice, because showing up is a big deal. Another one, no deposit, no return. If a union is bargaining for their membership, have they done all they can to help their organization be successful? Do they promote quality? Do their members go out of their way to service the customers? Do they consistently promote the attainment of new skills and knowledge? Do they realize that only a successful organization can truly reward their people? They should make a deposit if they expect a return. I am proud of the deposits our union members make every day to deliver what we call the Irwin difference to our customers. On a personal level, one has to take the attitude of giving, not receiving. We should give of ourselves freely and often without the expectation of thanks or recognition. So we give only to receive something in return, we will inevitably be disappointed. We must consistently give or make deposits without the expectation that there will be an immediate return. But if we make deposits, continually make deposits, it's reasonable that there will be a return. However, it's never clear when or how that will happen. We must have faith that if we keep making deposits as much as we can, we will dramatically increase our opportunity for a return. The power of the bench. The people on the bench are behind the scenes, but somehow they're there when you need them. They're the ones that get out that last-minute shipment, double check that something is done right, or just make sure they follow through on what's expected of their team. Every once in a while, you see their power emerge. When we had an employee that was facing a second battle with cancer, after winning his first battle, someone decided to have a potluck or raise money to help pay the extra expense for those experimental treatments. The results were unbelievable. So in a world with rich CEOs and sports superstars and rock stars and movie stars and politicians, far too little attention gets paid to the people behind the scenes. So it's time we recognize and honor the power of the bench. A lot of people here know this one, the golden rule. When I grew up in the 50s and 60s, everyone knew the golden rule. I heard the golden rule everywhere, in church, home, and school. The rule is a very simple one. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. I think that all organizations that strive to be successful need to pay attention to this simple rule. Clearly, if someone is going to buy your product, they will want you to treat them fairly, openly, and honestly. You can gain long-term loyalty with your customers. A good example of the golden rule at Irwin Seating Company is one of our longtime values, paying bills promptly. We dislike it when our customers do not pay us on time and drag out their payments to us using any number of ploys or excuses. We don't think it's fair. However, we pay our suppliers promptly and are proud to do it. We just wish everyone would live by the golden rule when it comes to paying bills. You'll love this one. This one's entitled, I Think Your Halo's Getting Too Tight. No one can deliver a message like your mother. Angels have halos, and clearly she was making sure that I knew that I was no angel. I would like to say that she only told me this once, but the truth is that she needed to admonish me multiple times. You see, I was a good kid, but very ambitious, and at times a little full of myself, and Mom never hesitated to let me know. She knew that most of what happens that is good is a result of many things and many people. Rarely does a person own an achievement, an award, a trophy, or a victory by him or herself. Humility, reverence, and respect must always be practiced. And when you don't, your halo gets too tight, and your mother might call you out. Maybe my favorite, and maybe the easiest to understand, is one that's entitled 1 + 1 = 3. And it's really all about the power of a team and how a team, when they work together, can produce more than what they started with. And the last piece of pattern language, which might be my favorite, maybe the theme of this little talk, is called Family Businesses Are Better. To me, family business is about values, and a typical family business has values that are stronger and more ingrained in their culture. I'm proud that we at Irwin Seating Company have taken the time to articulate our values, and they are summarized in our core values. First, treat people the way you want to be treated. Incidentally, this was written not by me. This was written by my sons and the team that followed me. They rewrote some things that I'd been working on for years, but it's pretty much the same stuff, folks. Follow the golden rule when dealing with employees, customers, vendors, and all others. Treat people like family. Multi-generation time frame. Think and plan for the long-term horizon. Extraordinary efforts to please customers. Do what's right to satisfy the internal and external customer along our entire business value stream. Be creative in our solutions. Use a team approach to develop innovative solutions that provide choices to problems and opportunities. Continuous improvement culture. Constantly work to make improvements through people, process, products, services, and all other elements of the business. And community and employee investment. Give back and support the well-being of our employees and the communities where they live and work to promote environments filled with inclusion, diversity, and philanthropy. So what's wrong with public companies? Well, really nothing specifically. However, they're subject to pressures that do not exist in family companies. Their stock price is very important to the shareholders and the executives. If it goes up, they profit. Therefore, the public company decisions are heavily influenced by the effect of their stock price, and not necessarily what's best for the company in the long term. In addition, the pressure for growth leads to public company mergers and acquisitions. Yet many, if not most, of these mergers and acquisitions are really not successful. So for me, when I see the boxes at Irwin Seating Company, they remind me of the pride and passion of my father. He loved the public seating business. He thrived on the challenge of making products better and faced each day with a goal of improvement. He led through Irwin family values, and because of his drive, enthusiasm, and honesty were contagious, the team worked hard to make Irwin Seating Company better. That's how we became the leader in our industry. And just like my father, Graham, Coke, and Andrew, my sons that are in the business, are driven by a passion of an exciting business, a team of incredible people, and the desire to pass on Irwin values. And that's why I think family businesses are better. So, is business bad or good? Well, both, I guess. It all depends. Clearly, a lot of bad has been done by business and business people. I'm an optimist, but if there are people out there whose life are dominated by wealth, their status, or material things, some businesses will do harm. Sometimes business is just plain tough, like my reading of the closing of the factory. In my 40-year career, I had to close plants and to lay off people. It's always very painful. We've tried our best to be sensitive and humane. Unfortunately, if you want a business to survive and eventually thrive again, you must make tough decisions. It's one of the reasons we're 111 years old. We like to think we're the good guys. As you have heard, we work hard at it. In summing up, all I would ask of you is that the next time you hear some unforgivable action taken by a business or a business person, remember, some business people, like me, are equally upset with those actions. Thank you.
Well, it's been quite a morning, wouldn't you say? I wanted to mention that Cameo was one of the 4 who played last Sunday in the Posh group, the 4 people with the 2 pianos. It was a wonderful time. Thank you. I'm hoping we hear more of that. And to hear Stephanie sing, "Hear the Lambs a Cryin'," that was a very moving time. Thank you very much, Stephanie. And I guess you know why we have Win Irwin as chair of the governing board. So we are in good hands at this moment, at least. So that's a good thing. Now, I shouldn't tell a story I haven't done research on, but I'm going to. Remember Wendy or Mary Lou when we went to sing the Fountain Street Church Choir at Carnegie Hall? I do not remember how long ago that was, but it was a very long time ago. 88, of course she would know. She has this wonderful mind to keep dates. I love that. Thank you, Mary Lou. Anyway, when we were singing on the rehearsal night, I looked out and I saw all these beautiful red seats. And it was like they were all friends, because guess where they came from? About a week later, I don't know how this happened, so I don't know the research on this. I received a call from some radio station, and they said, "If you were stranded on an island, what music would you take?" And I said, well, one of the things I would take is the Mozart Requiem, because I remember when we sang in Carnegie Hall, and I looked out at all my red friends from Irwin Seating. About an hour after that, I had this phone call from Mom Irwin, saying, "Oh, thank you for talking about our business on the radio." I remember Mom. She was a cool person. All right, well, it's time for us to do our closing hymn, which is page 331. Life is the greatest gift of all. Again, I invite you to stand if you are willing and able. When I was thinking about the benediction, I looked up in the Webster Dictionary the meaning, and one of the meanings it said, a benediction can be something that promotes goodness and well-being. Therefore, I thought it would be fitting that we all sang together a song I think we all know called Go Now in Peace. And what I'd like to do is have us all together sing at one time, and then I've asked Meredith if she would come up, and we'll do it in a round. And Meredith will lead this side, I will lead this side, and we'll sing it twice more in a round. So we need all of you to sing. Maria, you really need to help Meredith on this side, okay? So we'll sing it all together first, and then we'll go into the round.